Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Challenger. My name is FearDragon64, son of FearDragon63, and joined with me here on my left is Nathan, who says yes a lot. Yes. Are you enjoying the day today?
Yes.
Great. We have our next match coming up, and it's going to be a Protoss versus Terran now. PtitDrogo versus Hero. Here, I'm going to regret that every time.
Yes.
PtitDrogo versus HeroMarine. This is going to be the winner's match to decide which one of these two players is going to get their direct spot into the playoffs at round of 8 and being the 7th player there. It is our final group here for Europe Challenger today. So that does mean our last two players will be decided today.
Yes.
Do you have any? Which player do you think is going to
I think HeroMarine is going to get the most crisp, fresh, $5 printed 2-0 of all time right here. That's my guesstimate.
We did see some pretty good Terran versus Protoss play yesterday from both the European and North American side. So I want to see what HeroMarine busts out versus Drogo.
I feel like today is Big Gabe's day to shine, you know?
It's his big day.
Yeah, exactly. It's Big Gabe's big day. That's the title of the movie. In the top left, the red Protoss player trying to upset our German hero. He is PtitDrogo. He made a very funny tweet after his series against Namshar. So just check it out.
And down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, trying not to get upset by his opponent, it is the blue Terran player, HeroMarine. Team Mouse Esports.
You said this before we went on air, and I will agree with you, though. If he was able to find a way to tilt HeroMarine, then he could perhaps beat him.
Mothership Rush.
No.
That actually, apparently, according to HeroMarine's stream, that wouldn't tilt him. That would actually just make his mouth a big Gabe.
Yeah. He would just be like, well, you know, there's the standard HeroMarine thing. And, you know, In Control isn't here to do his German accent. But if he were here, he would say something along the lines of, I can't believe such a terrible player would try such an awful strategy. I'm upset now, and I will lose. Fun too.
That's not bad.
He would win the game. He would win the game, but he would be so bothered that such a lower MMR player would try that build that would be it. That would be what tilts him, is him winning against it.
I'm really impressed and proud of you, Nate, because you have transcended from doing accents and impersonations to doing an impersonation of someone doing an accent.
Yeah.
Of someone
I'm going for.
Yeah. That's impressive.
In Control has left lasting scars on me from doing these events.
Oh, really?
In fact, I cannot get the Jurassic Park theme out of my head.
Yeah.
It's the first thing he says every time I see him when I come here.
Oh.
And
you know what? You know
now
what's sad? I don't think he's ever done it on a broadcast.
No, I've been Pavlov dogged, man. Every time I step into the Blizzard Arena, the first thing that comes in my mind is that song because it's the first thing I always hear.
Can confirm. Every single time we walk to the desk,
you guys don't know this, but that's
Nate
all
and I
we do.
Singing the Jurassic Park
in the green room. It's just.
So we do finally have some semblance of the opening starting up. We do have a sentry being made out of the stalker here.
Hallucination. He wants a hallucinated scout.
Going for the robo.
He did a pretty good wall off here, so he cannot jump up into the main. That way that pylon and cybernetics core is set up. That is how Protoss players wall on this map. So this kind of turns it back towards being like a Port Alexander setup where the only way in is through the natural, and that is, of course, very risky to do.
Yeah, ships can only dock in one place there. We do have the starport on the way with a Widow Mine being produced from that factory here for HeroMarine. So looking like he wants to go for a little bit of Widow Mine shenanigans. Just has a single Hellion out so far as well. That's going to be nice for some scouting information. Sending that Reaper around some of the corners of the map, looking for proxies, keeping an eye out for things. I really like that HeroMarine is respecting the potential there because Drogo is not a Protoss player afraid to get down and dirty.
No, he is not. So let's see how well this Widow Mine drop does.
There's hallucination that you were talking about.
Yep. And this is super standard, right? I mean, they buffed it, the energy cost for the Sentry, so it's a much more reliable early game scout. It can be difficult to get an observer across the map by the time something like a medevac drop hits, but look at that, the Phoenix sees it.
And sees that the factory is not making any more Widow Mines. It's just the one mine in the Marine, so he knows exactly what's in the drop as well.
It's going to be a 6 Marine, 1 Widow Mine drop And maybe he will unload in front of the natural and just try to do a frontal poke. If he feels like he cannot actually drop that one Reaper and Hellion, he'll probably try to get into the natural during all of that.
Oh man, and the observer spots that the medevac is going to the left, but he's sending his stalkers to the right. Did he think it was a big... The observer saw that, right?
I mean, all I know is Rotterdam has a 200 IQ emote, and a couple people are probably spamming it right now. So the probes are going to get pushed back. The Widowmine gets to burrow. He's going to need to bait it with a probe. Good on burrow, re-burrow.
Nice.
Worst case scenario here is that he is denying a good amount of mining. Oh my god, the classic Widowmine splash onto the observer. I'm not gonna lie, when I started playing Protoss, that was the first thing that made me want to break my keyboard in half. When you're like, oh yeah, let's just send the probe to soak the shot, but then the observer dies to the Widowmine AoE. That is...
I mean, the most frustrating Terran players out there are the one. I'm so glad Protoss players got better about this, but it was the Terran players for a short period of time realized that Protoss were lazy and would just move the observer on top of the Widowmines, and they would just scan and kill the observer with the Widowmine. I was like, oh, you are one of those people. Yes. But there was already another observer that was made, and he has a third observer now out. With a robotic spay being added on, so this observer is going to come in over here, but it will be sniped off by the
Raven. So
yeah, unfortunately the hallucinating Phoenix also sees that, so died in vain.
Big Gabe's a smart guy though. The Raven is extremely useful, very powerful right now in Terran versus Protoss. We've seen at the highest levels of play between GSL, Super Tournament. The Raven is the key to a lot of the difficulties that Terran players have been having. We've seen the anti-armor missile into a clump of Zealots. Clump of Zealots dies instantly to the Marines, even if they're behind on upgrades. And Interference Matrix is heckin' amazing.
Especially versus robotic
Colossus, yes, Colossi. In fact, we had a really awesome Terran vs. Protoss match in WCS America yesterday, where we got to see Rob have what looked like the greatest disruptor shot in the history of disruptor shots in WCS.
But his future was robbed from him very quickly by an interference matrix.
Yep, and that was very painful indeed. So, interference matrix is just one of those things. It's just a huge game changer because that also the feedback nerf as well. Like High Templar don't just kill the Raven. Like yeah, you could try to go for something like feedback, but you're not guaranteed to kill on the Raven. So you're still going to have to worry about that coming back later. And I'm just going to give that cheeky reminder because I feel like a lot of people don't realize this. Interference Matrix has a cast range of 10. So it can be used even on High Templar before they can do anything about it.
Yep, Interference Matrix is a pretty scary prospect.
Feedback's range is like
9?
I think
it's
so.
9. I think it's 9.
For some reason, I want to think it's shorter than 9.
I believe it's 9 because I remember that.
Regardless, the point stands that you can interference. I think Maru did it in his GSL match.
Ooh, this drop gonna go undetected so far. Are there any warp-ins available? I think he just warped in on the south side over by the third base, so has to pull the probes away. Yeah, he just made a bunch of cells
cannon
there.
Into the heart of this would be noise.
That army for HeroMarine. The siege tanks are very, very nice, but this isn't actually the largest army. He is going to try and right-click down one of the High Templar. Doesn't manage to get it, loses some of the Marauders, but he's darting back and forth.
Don't get feedback. Feedback's a big thing here. There you
go.
Cannon. Good dodge. Ooh. Really good dodge. I think he has enough energy still for a interference matrix if he wants to try and use it on the Colossus, but that's really good counter micro so far from PtitDrogo. Yeah, there's enough energy for another Dorito cannon as well if he wants to try that again.
Yeah, he does end up morphing in that other High Templar into the Archon, but ooh, gets the feedback on that Raven.
He gets the interference matrix though, and the Colossus dies damn near instantly, so that takes out the wind out of the sails here for our Protoss players. He doesn't have armor upgrades, which means that these Marines should be able to do a lot versus the Zealots. Need the siege tanks to focus fire the Stalkers though. Yeah. And they're not. He's killing his own units with the tanks. That definitely does not help.
Yeah, the tanks go down and the bio goes down with it, but the tanks did quite a bit of damage. I mean, each one of those tanks up to 7, 8 kills, a lot of them Zealots or Stalkers.
HeroMarine is going to have to just pull the boys now. I don't think there's any other option.
He is a third base.
Okay, he took the third base. I did not see that in the middle there.
Liberator's also coming out like that because remember, he hasn't really lost any medevac, so it's pretty easy for him to move into Liberator production without any fears about, I need to make sure I have other defenses up or something stim.
I was a good bit worried there for a moment. Yeah. This is still really awkward. It's always weird to see Protoss, because with Colossi, you're normally expecting them to want to get attack upgrades for them, But to build a bunch of Zealots to support it, the Zealots really need those armor upgrades. Like, they're tanky, but a lot of it comes down to just how much health they have and how many times they armor procs against, like, marine attacks.
Yeah. Oh, these Zealots getting caught is a bit rough there for PtitDrogo. Gonna lose a lot of them. And I also want to note that Observer that got sniped off was the last Observer on the map. And I guarantee you that PtitDrogo wants to make more Colossus right now. He does not want to have to remake an Observer, so drops can be scary.
It's another huge part of why the Raven is so good, because even with that feedback, the Raven didn't die. Yeah, it lost the rest of its energy, but it was able to get the IM off, and now it's able to deny the map vision with that. So we have the Raven coming over here, gets an Interference Matrix again on this Colossus, so the Bio Army is just going to fight the Zealots on its own, and that Colossus is just kind of standing there, taking heat.
Yep, takes a lot of damage from the Liberators, and the drops come in behind it. The Charge Lot should be able to clean this up, but gets the Colossus. Was it worth it? And I mean, he's still up a little bit in supply, still has a good amount of army, and is rallying up back at home. The medevacs stay alive, but it did cost him all of his tanks.
Yeah, I don't know that matters too much anymore.
Yeah.
I don't like tanks if the Protoss is going to make this many Zealots. Like, we've already seen a lot of the tanks get used in that way. Like, they just get wrecked. So getting the other Starport, I think, is a much better call. Maybe throw it on a Fusion Core, go for ranged Liberators if you want to play with tech-based units. I'm not going to say Widow Mines, because even though they're good against Zealots, Colossi kind of counter them really well. But, you know, one of the other things that people talk about in TvP is the economic balance, and there's no 4th base yet for PtitDrogo. So Terran is finally on that same base count as Toss, which in this meta heavily favors the Terran player. You're not generally trying to be ahead on bases in TvP, since usually these days it is the Protoss that gets those expansions up faster. So
yeah,
HeroMarine should be reasonably happy so far, but this drop, this could be a problem.
Missile turret finishes up just in the nick of time to at least poke away at that Warp Prism. A couple of Zealots also walking their way into the natural. If HeroMarine's not prepared for that, it could take some damage. The Warp Prism does go down. Zealots walk straight into the rest of the army. A very stemmed up army, but it's going to be more than enough to clean this up. Loses some SCVs, but also opens up an opportunity for the main army to drop into the 3rd base.
Yeah, very well done so far here by PtitDrogo. Definitely creating some opportunities. Did lose the Warp Prism, though, so he's not going to be able to have a follow-up to that. And we have Ghosts coming out. Yeah. Even though he got the Templar Archives for Archons, I don't think he
never got Storm. He
never got Storm, and he doesn't have iTemplar just kind of banking energy anywhere for it either, so
yeah,
he's trying to play with a little bit less of a technical composition and just rely on army positioning with his Colossi and Zealot run-bys.
Yeah, the Ghost's still going to be great for those EMPs on the Archons, though, taking a lot of shields off, and even the Zealots will disappear a lot faster.
By the way, Raven is still in play here, so a Dorito cannon into the middle of this army causes it to die instantly. See, that's really scary now. Those Stalkers, cannot fight with those Stalkers at all, and I think there's almost enough energy for another one if there's another fight that comes up in the next
I think so. It definitely is. Well. And we also ended up seeing a situation where now +2 weapons finishes up for both these players. This is the first time that HeroMarine's taken a major fight where he's actually on even upgrades.
He gets a feedback here, but there's the EMPs and these the Colossi. Because of this way this choke is laid out, he can't really come back to the defense. Disruptor Shot gets a really nice hit on the north side there, though. Oh my God.
He's not finishing the Nexus. He's taking out those Zealots. I think he's still going to have enough left over. He's going to clean up this army.
Yeah, but then it doesn't matter. Okay, he does finish the Nexus with that Marine. All the Colossi are dead. GG, HeroMarine goes up 1-0. Very well done. I'm just going to say my big shout out there, HeroMarine's controlling the Raven. Keeping the Raven alive. It was a factor in every fight. It was a factor in every engagement. And the utility of that unit cannot be overstated. It is so important for TvP. And he was leaning a bit more towards the Stalkers again because he wanted to protect the Colossi. But if he tries to build a bunch of Zealots, Zealots don't blink. There's not really any dodging on them. They clump really hard. So just very, very well done. And a lot of those early skirmish, a couple of key interference matrices on those Colossi were huge. So yeah, that's what I like to see. I think when people talk about Terran versus Protoss and the difficulties of the matchup, that is something that helps tremendously, especially since the normal fear of using energy-based units is, oh my God, iTemplar feedback. But his Raven got feedback multiple times, never died, because it's just not how it is anymore.
Yeah, even with the pairing of those earlier engagements with the Ravens, taking out those Colossus from the fight with the interference matrices, we also saw like the Liberators sieging up in a very aggressive position, actually hitting a lot of the Colossus and stuff. The siege tanks were taking out a bunch of the Stalkers, so there wasn't a lot to deal with the Liberators, so they were sticking around for a long time. Zels did get a lot of cleanups on the army, but at the same time, PtitDrogo was losing a lot of the gas units there, so that becomes a lot harder to replace. So many Zels can only do so much, especially when you're talking about the anti-armor missile coming into play. So just like you said, really good control.
Yep, we're going to go to year 0 for the next game. And I'm also going to put this out there. At the end of that game, the upgrades were +2 attack, +1 armor for both players, which is really good for Terran.
Yeah.
Like, upgrades on Colossi are great. I totally get it, totally understand. You want to kill stuff faster with your AoE, but Zealots, and especially those units, do not hold up anywhere near as well. If the Terran's got +2 attack and you've only got +1 armor, your Zealots are going to die so quickly. And then all the rest of everything is just tech units. The Vikings to deal with the Colossi, so the Colossi upgrades aren't as big. And then the Bio just mows everything down.
Yeah, actually going into that, PtitDrogo did, I think he only had 1 forge, so he got up a fast +1 armor and then fast +1 weapon.
Yeah, he went attack, and then attack first, then +1 armor, and then +2 attack.
But it was off of 1 forge, whereas HeroMarine just got the slightly later double engineering base and was going for the 1-1s, playing catch up. But right as that engagement started, that final engagement, that's when he finished up his +2 at the same time as Drogo, and he was suddenly caught up. Yeah. Whereas all the other engagements are actually him being behind on upgrades.
Super well done. Super duper well done. And we're loaded in now to year 0, a map that statistically has been pretty good for the Terrans against the Protosses. That third base is not as tucked in or close as on some of the other maps. The straight air distance is really nice for plays like those Widowmine drops, fast Liberators, battle cruisers.
What was that?
Oh, sorry, I just had a little bit of a cough.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. Banshees, yeah. We do have the probe moving along the sneaky bottom side of the map, looking around for some proxies.
HeroMarine's not really big on proxies, though, is he?
No.
I have to build my structures on your side to defeat you. The game's probably not balanced, so...
The only reason why I'm wondering if that was just scouting around for proxies, because he does tag up to the third base, not just going around a slightly more roundabout way. He actually goes out of his way to just scout the high ground, it looks like, and he is going to go straight to his opponent's main.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to check, right?
Yeah.
You never know. So the probe's going to come up here right around the time that this command center starts, and probe's like, I'm going to be annoying. But at the same time, you don't want to delay it too much because you also want to know that he's trying to expand. So HeroMarine is going to start the command center and then pause it for a hot second, get back to work on it, and probe is going to run away because the Reaper should be coming out any second now.
Yep. And he can pretty much anticipate that. The probe's going to be able to get a good ways back home. We'll see if he does anything cheeky or clever with it. But with the Cybernex Core finishing up, if you really wanted to proxy something, you would have had to already have finished up a pylon. So seems unlikely.
Yeah.
But just even having that probe on this side of the map and retreating out around this time, it's going to make that Reaper feel like, maybe I can find the probe. Maybe it's hiding somewhere. Maybe it's going to come back in and harass my SCV, build the command center.
And oftentimes it is, and oftentimes it does, but not this game. So there's also a couple of other interesting things that play into the probe scout at the start of the game, because I think, one of my favorite bits of analysis actually, DeMuslim did a little bit of a breakdown on the timing that a probe comes into your base and what that says about what they're doing. And I think originally he was like, if it's around that minute to minute 10, then it's probably gone straight from the Protoss's base to yours. If it comes around that like minute 20 to minute 40, it's highly likely that it either took a really long time going around scouting on its way to your base, or it stopped to build a pylon and a gateway, and then it came into your base. So that's one of those things you always have to be cautious of. And if you send that probe to scout around at the start of the game, you're checking for a proxy, but you're also delaying the probe scout, which can make the Terran think, hey, why would this probe come later than normal to my base? So I don't hate it. I don't mind it, even if HeroMarine's not like a crazy proxy player, because being able to throw somebody off like that is nice. It's the type of thing that you want to see out of players who are down in a map in a series and trying to get some sort of advantage somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, the first observer is going to make its way through the center of the map, past the giant demon from hell, and go over to the top left-hand side.
Somebody did pay attention to what we were talking about yesterday. I think someone posted on Reddit for StarCraft. They replaced Amon with Jim Raynor, and it actually looks really cool.
Oh,
I would play that map. That's what I want. I want it to be like a Power Rangers Megazord map. You just get giant characters. Go for it,
what was the name of Raynor's original band? Like before Raynor's Raiders, before the whole StarCraft 1 campaign.
Like not Heaven's Devils?
Heaven's Devils, yeah. There you go. That's instead of the demons from hell of Amon, you can get Heaven's Devils instead. That'd be pretty cool.
That'll do.
Nice snipe on the Observer with his Cyclone. Gets a spot on that.
They spilled though. Interesting. Like the way his stim is gonna time out pretty fast, but he's it's gonna be done just before I think the medevacs are actually able to start being ult. So he did not get the starport super quickly, but he got a better defensive setup. He's got a good amount of Marines, Cyclone, tank, no bunker or anything like that. Hallucinated Phoenix is gonna get picked off.
Yeah. Spots out that the starport is just now getting up and sees the double tech labs on the barracks, getting stim and combat shields though. So that might start to give him a little more confidence that he can bush out across the map as he does go forward with the stalkers, saying, well, if I don't have to worry about an immediate medevac or anything, then yeah, we might as well poke forward. And he's gonna find the Cyclone for his troubles. That
is an awesome grab.
That's really great.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to, is there's a certain inherent weakness in not opening with that fast medevac or Liberator, is that it's kind of like a 2-1-1, which is fine, but the Protoss player is going to be able to get that map control. They're going to have stuff out there. You don't want to move too far with these Stalkers because he didn't open with Blink. He's gone straight for the Colossi again, but he's already got one. And honestly, I'm getting some sick Heart of the Swarm vibes out of this, right? Where it's like you rush up to the 2 Colossi to take your 3rd base. The Terran player is going to hit when you've got one with your 2nd one on the way. And it's all about just basically waiting for the 2nd Colossus, and that is what allows you to secure your 3rd. That was Heart of the Swarm TvP in a nutshell. Except back then the Terran player usually had their 3rd very quickly.
Oh, this is going to be pretty tough, I think, right now, because the gateways are just finishing up for Drogo. Usually the Pros player is going to use all their weapons in one location.
Yes, but he has the Colossus that's just finished in his main, and Stalker sees this, so he has units that can help.
With some Marauders here, this still gets pretty scary, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you know what? He did not have anything there to, I was going to say, run it. He kind of ran the Colossus straight towards him, but there were a few Marauders in that drop that did it very well done. Getting that Templar Archives would be nice.
Goes to probes and 7. Here is the big scary part about this.
He moved everything up towards the main because of this.
The big bait. The giant bait from Big Gabe. And now he's going to be able to get the pylon over here. He is doing a lot of damage to that 3rd. Is he going to be able to get it?
He didn't stim again. He didn't stim again.
That tank.
He got it.
Gets it. Oh, okay. 3rd base going down. A lot of probes have gone down. The drop in the main is still getting damage done. He took out the Templar Archives. No more transitionary tech.
Well, dude, GG. HeroMarine 2-0. He is out of here in 1st place for Group D.
In record time.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, HeroMarine just played really, really well with that, and that was just a very clean bait and switch, right? Whereas you drop into the main where your opponent's units aren't, and then you wait with your forces outside their 3rd base. You say, okay, and now let's go. And then the army shows up in the main. You're super out of position.
I need to check the replay or the VOD or something in a bit. Did he have Colossus range done for that? Because his Colossus got very close to that drop as it was coming in, and the Marauders killed it super fast. I don't actually know if
I think the Colossus had just popped out, and it's like trying to run away from Stim Bio with a Colossus when you're already.
Well, the Robo was on the right side of the main. Like, he could have tried to hide it a little bit, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, HeroMarine obviously made a great play. The pulling everything up into the main with the double medevacs, opening up for his little squad on the south to kill the 3rd was huge. And then getting those probes, there was no way he was going to come back with 2 base Protoss. With 1 Colossus. Actually, no, it would have been 2 at that point because the 0. He lost it.
He lost the Colossus.
The one by the
another
3rd
one popped out at the very end.
But either way, really well done by HeroMarine. That's kind of what I expected out of him, to come out clean and just swing away.
So HeroMarine is going to be your 7th player to advance to the playoffs bracket. That'll be happening next week. And with that, we do know now that our next match is going to be Clem versus Drogo. So the winner of this match is going to be our final player that advances to the playoffs. Don't go anywhere. Another PvT is coming your way.